Hi, my name is Mick Geyer of GyDigital Corp. Welcome to the GyDigital video guide to understanding and buying a personal computer. Buying the right computer for your needs can be as complicated as buying a car. The variety of systems, options, and features are numerous. Without the right information, chances are you will end up spending either too much money or purchasing a system that will not be equipped to meet your needs. This video will be an informative guide to help you in the process of buying a computer, whether for your personal or for your business use. Very few comprehensive materials exist to help the novice consumer. Most people do not have the time to read many books and magazines to learn enough and decide what they need to know and how much they should spend on a computer system. This videotape is designed to accomplish two primary goals. The first is to provide you with enough information about the way a computer works, what the major components are, and provide you with an understanding of what these components do. The second goal is to provide you with enough information about these components so that you better understand what you need when you are purchasing a computer system. The format of this video is set up so that you can watch the entire video for a comprehensive overview or search through specific sections of interest. This video is broken down into 5 main sections, these being the basics of a computer, external hardware components, internal hardware components, software concepts, and finally purchasing decisions. Following is the first section, which will review the basic concepts of how a computer works. This knowledge is important prior to discussing the components of the machine in detail.
Hi, my name is Cindy Castellano, and I'm here to speak with you about the basics of computers that you'll need to know for later segments. A computer is essentially a machine. As technology has advanced over the last few years, the personal computer has become a vital part of many households. Once a device which only appealed to hardcore computer hobbyists, the personal computer can now be found in the homes of people of all backgrounds and technical levels. During the last few years, we have witnessed a technology explosion which has resulted in a machine that is easier to use and is capable of doing much more for the average consumer. You no longer need to have a computer background in order to use personal computers. As a matter of fact, the growth in the personal computer industry is partly due to the fact that many beginners are using the machines with little understanding of how they actually work. Advancements over the next few years will continue to make these machines easier to use, and as they become a greater part of our lives, they will no longer seem foreign to the average consumer. Due to their expansion and usefulness, computers are becoming parts of our daily lives. This machine has the capability to make our daily tasks easier and faster to accomplish. Computers can be used for word processing, financial record keeping, graphics, communication, education, as well as training. They provide the ability to receive, store, access, and edit information. As we said earlier, a computer is a machine, but this machine needs 2 vital ingredients in order to make it run. These ingredients are a combination of hardware and software. The hardware consists of the physical components of the machine. It is the monitor, keyboard, circuit chips, casing, and anything else that can be touched. The hardware of a computer is essentially useless without software, because without software, the computer will be a number of interconnected physical components which do nothing. The software of the computer tells the hardware what to do. It allows the hardware components of the computer to talk to one another. Software is a series of instructions designed to tell the computer how to perform certain tasks. This series of instructions is called a program. Programs are written by programmers using programming languages. Some of the common programming languages are BASIC, C, and C++. Programs are created to perform specific tasks, which are run on the computer. The ability to run these programs makes the computer unique by allowing it to be programmable. The ability to create and run these programs allows the computer to perform tasks very quickly. What you need to realize about computers is that they are fast. This means that tasks which require many hours of tedious work can be performed in seconds or minutes by a computer. However, they can only perform a specific task as well as they are instructed to do so by the program. If a program has not been written properly, you may experience problems running it on the computer. The program is then said to have problems or bugs in it. There are two main types of software. They are operating system software and application software. Operating system software is the most critical piece of software needed to run your computer. An operating system is a program that tells your computer how to operate. It is what controls all the devices of the machine so that they work properly together. It allows the software programs to be run. When you purchase a computer, it comes with an operating system already installed. Application software is a program designed for a specific purpose or application. They are programs which are created to help you perform a specific task or obtain some end result, such as writing a document, doing your finances, or creating graphics. For example, on the market you will see word processing, spreadsheet, financial, accounting, graphics, and other types of programs available to you to run on your computer. Application programs require an operating system program to run. Computers use the operating system and application programs to process information or data. Information is constantly going through the cycle of input, process, output. This means that a computer accepts input, applies a process to the information, and provides some type of output or result. The input is usually commands or data that are accepted by the machine from the user. Once this input is accepted, the computer determines what it needs to do to this data based on these commands and performs specific actions. For example, you might want to manipulate some type of data using an application program which keeps track of your finances. You would input the new financial transactions. These transactions are processed by having accounts updated, providing you with the final balances of your accounts. What is provided for you is the result of these actions. Computers work on a binary number system. A binary number system uses two symbols to represent all values. This means all information on a computer can be represented as a series of zeros or ones. For example, the capital letter A is represented as 01000001, and the capital letter B is represented as 01000010. All data are made up of a sequence of these zeros and ones, which has a specific meaning to the computer as the information is processed. It is not very important that you understand this fully, but since the computer uses this binary number system, many of the terms that you will hear will be based on it. Computers read, write, and store information in memory. There are different types of memory in a computer that are used for different purposes, as we soon shall see. When discussing memory, there are common terms which you will need to be familiar with. These terms are used to define memory storage size. Memory is measured in units referred to as bits and bytes. 1 bit equals a 0 or a 1. 1 byte is equal to 8 bits, which are a pattern of zeros and ones, which equals 1 character of data. All characters are made up of a unique pattern of 8 bits, zeros or ones. 1 kilobyte is equal to 1024 bytes. 1 megabyte is equal to 1,048,576 bytes. 1 gigabyte is equal to 1,000 megabytes, or slightly more than 1 billion characters. Now that we have seen various memory storage sizes, let's discuss the different types of memory in a computer. Memory is either temporary or permanent. Temporary memory only stores information while the computer is on. This type of memory is used by the computer as a temporary work area until tasks are completed. Permanent memory will store information when the computer is off or on. This is where the computer stores its programs, files, and any work you have been working on. Well, that wraps up some of the computer basics you will need to know for the coming sections of the tape. Next, you will begin your exploration of the computer itself.
Hi, my name is George Geyer. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the external components of a computer. The first of which will be a monitor. A monitor is an output device very similar to a television screen. It allows you to see your work as it's being done on the computer. Having a good monitor is important since you'll be staring at it while you do your work. Early monitors were generally black and white or only offered a few colors. For the most part, these monitors are extinct because today's monitors offer high-quality color graphics. The following features of monitors are very important to understand: size, resolution, dot pitch, refresh rate, and interlacing. The standard size for monitors keeps getting larger and larger. The common size for monitors today is about 15 to 17 inches. Monitor size is measured diagonally across the screen in inches. The 15-inch monitor is adequate for the majority of the applications you will run on your machine. If you intend to use your computer for graphical purposes such as desktop publishing, you might want to consider a larger monitor, perhaps 17 to 24 inches. The larger the monitor, the more room you're going to have to work on the screen. Resolution impacts the quality of the image on the monitor. Basically, the monitor is made up of dots of lights called pixels. Resolution is the number of pixels that are on the screen. The more pixels you have, the sharper your image is going to be and the easier it's going to be to look at. Resolution can be stated as two numbers, for example, 640 by 480. The first number refers to the number of pixels that make up the screen horizontally. Thus, there are 640 pixels across from left to right. The second is the number of pixels that make up the screen vertically. Thus, there are 480 pixels from top to bottom of the screen. Think of the stated resolution as length times the height of the screen measured in pixels. The monitors available today are usually VGA, which is Video Graphics Array, or SVGA, which is Super Video Graphics Array. The monitor you should get for your computer should probably be a Super VGA because it'll give you better resolution and a sharper image. The next topic we're going to talk about is dot pitch. Dot pitch measures the distance between the pixels on the screen. The lower the dot pitch number, the shorter the distance between the pixels. This makes the pixels more compact, thus providing a better quality image. An ideal dot pitch should be 0.28 millimeters or lower. The images on the screen appear as though they're not changing. However, the computer is continually redrawing them. The vertical refresh rate determines how quickly the computer is actually redrawing those images. The faster it's being redrawn, the clearer the image looks and the less flicker it will have to it. A slow vertical refresh rate might cause a slight flicker to the image and cause it to be disturbing to the eyes. The vertical refresh rate is measured in hertz. A minimum of 60 hertz, that means 60 refreshes per second, is acceptable, but a refresh of 72 hertz or higher is more ideal, especially for today's machines, which are more graphic intensive. When images are created on the screen, an electron beam has to pass over the screen in order to create that image. Interlacing versus non-interlacing refers to the number of times the electron beam has to pass over the screen in order to create that image. You should definitely go with a non-interlacing monitor because that only requires the electron beam to pass over once in order to create that on your monitor. And as a last note, on the front of the monitor, you'll usually find controls such as the monitor's power button, brightness, contrast, and screen sizing and centering controls. The next topic I'm going to talk about is the keyboard. The keyboard is your primary input device used for communicating with the computer. Keyboards are very similar to the keys on a typewriter with the exception of a few keys. The most important thing about keyboards, however, is comfort. There are many different designs available for keyboards. Some are designed specifically to reduce the strain on the wrist and the hand while keying. Other features that you need to know about are soft key versus hard key, which describes how the keys react when they're actually pressed. A hard key keyboard has stiffer keys and makes a more audible click when pressed. A soft key keyboard is pressed more easily and makes less sound. Some keyboards are programmable, meaning you could reassign keys to functions that you use quite often.
Most likely the keyboard that comes with your system is going to be fine for your applications, but if some of these features are important to you, you might want to check them out in more detail. The mouse, like the keyboard, is another input device that allows you to communicate with the computer. Essentially, it is a pointing device that allows the user to point and click on commands instead of using the keyboard. Most of today's software programs are designed to use a mouse as an alternative to using a keyboard. The mouse is a palm-sized device with buttons on the top used to enter commands and a cord connecting it to the computer, almost making it look like a mouse, thus the name. At the bottom of the mouse is a small ball. As the mouse is moved, the ball rolls, causing the cursor to move on the screen. The user can then position the cursor to desired locations on the screen to enter commands. Most likely the standard mouse that comes with most systems will be appropriate for most users. As technology advanced, computers are now able to process larger amounts of information more quickly. This has led to the use of audio to be recorded, manipulated, and played on a personal computer. And because of that, speakers have become a common addition to most computer systems. Speakers can range in price from about $30 to a couple of $100. If you're using a system for everyday applications, an average set of speakers will be more than appropriate. If you intend to use your system for audio applications, you might want to consider getting a better pair of speakers. The case is essentially a shell which houses many of the hardware components of the machine. Additionally, it contains drive bays. Drive bays are extra room in the case which allow you to add devices such as tape backup units, CD-ROM drives, and disk drives. The larger the case, the more drive bays it has. Cases usually come in two types, desktop or tower. A desktop is a flat rectangular box that's designed to sit on top of a desk. They are appropriate when you have sufficient desk space. However, they may not provide as much expansion capability for additional hardware devices because they have less drive bays than a tower case. This particular computer system uses a tower design. Notice that it's a tall, thin, rectangular box which is designed to sit on the floor underneath your desk. Therefore, it frees up desk space. Because they are usually larger, they provide greater expansion capability. If you need room in your machine and expansion is important, go with the tower model. On the case, you will also find the power button to turn the unit on and off, the reset button, which is used to restart your computer without shutting off the power, various indicator lights, and a lock, which allows you to lock your system. On the case, you'll also find a floppy disk drive. It allows the user to store information. They allow you to store your information on a small magnetic disk that is transportable. This is a floppy disk. It is a permanent storage medium where you can save, access, and delete information when desired by inserting it into the floppy drive on your system. Floppy disks are ideal for making backup copies of your work or if you need to transport your work from one machine to another. Floppy disks are not designed to hold a lot of information. The common disks available today are 3.5 inches and are designed to hold up to 1.44 megabytes of information. The 3.5-inch floppy disk is encased in a hard plastic casing that fits into the 3.5-inch floppy disk drive. In the past, floppy disk drives used to use a 5.25-inch floppy disk, but for the most part these are obsolete today. As you notice, the 5.25-inch floppy disk is not as durable as the 3.5-inch disk. It has a soft plastic casing and retains up to 1.2 megabytes of data. Also on the case, you will find a CD-ROM drive. These have become a necessity in the past few years. These drives allow you to access information that has been stored on a compact disc, much the same way music is. But the information accessed by these drives contains audio, video, text, and graphics, which can all now be played on a computer. These CD-ROM disks are portable and can store up to 640 megabytes of information as compared to the floppy disk, which only stores 1.44 megabytes of information. These disks are used by software, multimedia, and game developers as a way to deliver their products to consumers. Unlike floppy disks, the data on a CD-ROM cannot be changed. Therefore, you can't save information back to it, but this may change in the near future. The disc is simply placed into the CD-ROM drive in the same manner a music CD is placed into a stereo CD player. The most important thing to keep in mind when selecting a CD-ROM drive is speed. The speed of a CD-ROM drive measures how quickly the data is transferred from the CD-ROM to the computer in kilobytes per second. The common CD-ROM drives available today are the double spin, the triple spin, the quadruple spin, and the 6 times spin. Basically, what all this means is that the faster the speed, the faster the information can be accessed from the CD-ROM disk. Basically, on a system purchased today, you should get at least a quadruple spin CD-ROM drive. Another type of storage device which is becoming common on systems today is your tape backup unit. This drive allows the user to store information on a tape instead of a disk. These drives are ideal for backing up all the information on your system. The information is stored on a magnetic tape similar to an audio cassette. Tape cartridges can store large amounts of data, commonly 250 megabytes, but even up to 1.3 gigabytes. By inserting the cartridge into the tape drive, you can copy all the information stored on your hard drive onto the tape as a backup. Another important addition to a computer system is your printer. There are basically three types of printers available: the dot matrix, the inkjet, and the laser printer. If you're going to use your computer for home or personal use, you might as well go with an inkjet. If you're going to use your computer for office or for high-level graphics, you probably should go with a laser printer. Well, that about wraps up all the external components of a computer. The next thing we're going to talk about is some of the internal components, which are located inside the case. Now that we have explored the components the user can see on the outside of a computer, let's begin to investigate how they are connected on the inside. It is important to realize that all the components we have discussed so far are attached to the case unit in the back. It is within the case unit that all the processing takes place. The monitor, the keyboard, the mouse are all connected to the unit through connection points called ports. There are two types of ports: serial ports and parallel ports. Serial ports allow for connection of devices such as a mouse, modem, and trackball. It is called a serial port because information travels in a straight line. Parallel ports allow for connection of devices such as printers, tape backup unit, or a CD-ROM drive. It is called a parallel port because information travels in parallel. More data can be transferred quicker when it is sent parallel. Remember the input, process, and output cycle we mentioned earlier. Information and commands are inputted by the keyboard or mouse, sent to the case unit, and processed by the components within the unit, and the result and the actions are provided for your viewing on the monitor. Since the case unit is where the processing takes place, let's open it up and take a look inside. The computer case can be opened by removing the screws on the back of the unit and lifting off the cover. Many of the devices are attached to the back of the case. When looking inside, you'll see that all are connected in some way to this main circuit board inside the case unit. This main board is referred to as the systems board, or more commonly referred to as the motherboard. It is essentially a large circuit board that allows all the components of the computer to be attached. All information flows in and out of the systems board. The systems board is designed to receive input from the user, process the information, and then output the results. It is where the actual processing of the computer takes place. Thus, the systems board holds the main components essential for the processing of the information. These components are the central processing unit, or CPU, random access memory, or RAM, cache memory, and expansion slots. We will cover each one of these individually in more detail. The microprocessor is the primary computer chip that is responsible for all processing. It is also called the Central Processing Unit, or CPU for short, and is the brain of the computer. The CPU is what receives, interprets, and executes instructions. If you have been looking at computers, you may have noticed that they are usually advertised based on the CPU that is on the systems board. What you need to understand is the generation number and the speed of the chip. The Intel Corporation is the primary producer of CPUs. Each new generation of Intel CPU has a different number system to identify it, except for the newest class. The current Intel CPUs on the market are referred to as the 386, the 486, and Pentium. Pentium is the current generation chip. It is also known as the 586 or P5. Basically, the higher the number, the faster and more current the chip. Due to the heavy competition in the chip market, new generations of chips are constantly becoming available. Intel is currently completing work on the next generation chip after the Pentium, currently called the P6, which is not available yet but should be soon. The newer the generation of the chip, the faster the computer processes the information. This is due to the number of bits it is capable of handling at a time. Old chips were capable of handling 8 and 16 bits of information. The newer chips, such as the 486, is a 32-bit chip, and the Pentium is a 64-bit chip. Basically, what this means is that the greater number of bits, the larger the chunks of data that can be processed at a time, meaning faster processing speed. Within each class of CPU, the processor can also run at different speeds, measured in megahertz. The common speeds are the 33, 66, 75, 90, 100, 120, and 133 megahertz. 33, 66, and 100 apply to the 486 class of chip, whereas the Pentium classes are found with the 75, 90, 100, 120, and 133 megahertz. Basically, the faster the speed, the faster the processing of the computer. Also, the faster the chip, the more current you are with the latest technology, and the more expensive your computer may be. You need to decide if the extra speed will make a difference to what you're going to be using your computer for. If your system is to be used for basic functions such as writing documents, doing finances, connecting to online services, then the additional speed might not be necessary. But if you intend to use the system for graphics, video, and audio applications, the extra speed will be well worth it. Keep in mind that you can't compare speeds against different classes of CPUs. For example, a Pentium running at 60 megahertz is faster than a 486 chip running at 100 megahertz. Therefore, only compare speeds within the same class of chip. The next thing we're going to talk about is random access memory, or RAM. This memory is what a computer uses to store information that it is currently using. It is a temporary location used by the CPU to perform its processing. When you begin an application program such as a word processor, that program is brought from the hard drive into RAM. Once the program is in RAM, it is executed and you can begin the work you need to do. When you are done with the word processor, the RAM storage is freed up and you can use it for another program. Any information that's in RAM is not saved permanently. It is overlaid by the next application that starts. So what about the work you did in your word processor and the documents you created? Well, they have to be saved in a more permanent storage device, such as your hard drive. And we'll talk about these in more detail later. But the key here is to remember that whatever is in RAM is not saved permanently. The computer uses this only as a temporary workspace, and it will not retain data in RAM when the computer is turned off. A good way to understand RAM is to think of it as the surface of your desk. It is a place to put the information while you're working on it. All the necessary information is available on top of your desk so you can easily access it. This information was probably taken from a file cabinet, which is a permanent storage area, and brought to your desk, which is a temporary storage area. When the work is completed or updated, it is returned to the permanent storage area and a desktop surface is cleared for the next task. This is the same way the RAM works in your computer. The more RAM you have in your computer, the more room your computer has to work. If you have a very large desk, you can put all your files on top of it so you can work very efficiently. If you have a very small desk, you could only fit portions of your information on top of it. Therefore, you continually need to access your file cabinet in order to get more information. The same concept applies to RAM. The less RAM you have, the more times the computer has to run back and forth to permanent storage to get the information you need, and this will slow down processing time. Therefore, the more RAM you have, the faster your computer will operate. RAM is measured in megabytes. To run many of today's programs, a minimum of 8 megabytes is needed, but 16 is recommended. Many systems available today already come with 16 megabytes. When shopping around for a computer system, inquire about the possibility of expanding the RAM on your system. On the system board, there is a number of slots to hold RAM chips. Make sure that when you purchase a machine, you have free slots. This will allow you to expand the amount of RAM later. Most manufacturers do not use up all the RAM slots, allowing for additional expansion, but it's always good to ask. For example, if the system board comes with 4 slots for RAM chips and 16 megabytes of RAM memory, inquire about the RAM chip sizes they are using. If they're giving you 4 4-megabyte RAM chips, all the slots might be used. To expand the system might require purchasing larger chips and replacing some of the existing ones. If the system provides you with 16 megabytes of RAM by using 2 8-megabyte chips, you'll have 2 slots available for expansion. This way, when you purchase additional RAM, you don't have to replace any of the existing ones. Additional RAM can be installed into your computer by purchasing memory modules referred to as SIMs and popping them into the available RAM slots on the machine. SIMs stand for Single Inline Memory Module. These modules can be purchased and easily plugged into your computer to provide additional memory. A new type of RAM are Extended Data Output, or EDO RAM. The modified circuitry on these memory modules gives the memory SIM the ability to hold data longer than conventional memory. This shortens the memory cycle times, which is how often the memory has to refresh itself to retain information, and increases the memory bandwidth, which is how long data can be held, by 22% over normal RAM chips. The next topic I'm going to talk about is cache memory. Cache memory is a separate set of memory chips that is used to help the CPU speed up its processing. What this memory does is that it allows the computer to temporarily store the most commonly used information so that the CPU can operate faster and more efficiently. Newer computers equipped with EDO RAM are not using cache memory because of the improved capabilities available with EDO RAM. If the system you're purchasing does not have EDO RAM and uses cache memory, you should have at least 128 kilobytes of cache memory, but 256 is recommended. Now we're going to talk about expansion slots. Adding new devices to your computer after you purchased it requires it to have free expansion slots on the system board. Additional devices that require these expansion slots are such items as CD-ROM drives, additional hard drives, sound card, and fax modem. New devices will require a card designed to fit in the slot of your computer's system board. Remember earlier, we saw that all the external components of the machine attached in the back of the case. Notice that the internal devices are attached to a circuit board that is inserted into these slots on the system board. These slots are the expansion slots. This allows you to expand your system with new components, thus the name expansion slots. Not all expansion slots are the same. It depends on the bus, which is the method used by your computer to move information around. The bus is the main path for data to be moved throughout your computer. The bus can handle is measured in bits. Older machines used 8 and 16-bit buses. The newer technology now uses 32 and 64-bit buses. Basically, the larger the number of bits a bus has, the more information it can move around more quickly. You can think of a bus in relation to a highway, and the information in relation to the cars on the highway. Imagine a 16-bit bus as a single-lane highway. If a tremendous number of cars or information want to travel that road, traffic backs up, thus slowing down the cars. A 32-bit bus can be viewed as a two-lane highway, thus allowing more cars to get through at the same time. Thus the cars can move more quickly. A 64-bit bus can be seen as a four-lane highway, allowing even more cars or more information to get through at a time. This allows for a more efficient transfer of information. If the bus could not handle the additional information, it got backlogged, and this was referred to as bottlenecking. The expansion slots in the computer are attached to the bus of the system board. Information is transferred through the bus and throughout your system. The type of slots vary. Some of the more common types of slots you will find on computer systems today are as follows. ISA, which means Industry Standard Architecture, is an 8 or 16-bit bus. VESA Local Bus, which means Video Electronic Standards Association, is a 32-bit bus. PCI Local Bus, which means Peripheral Component Interconnect, is a 64-bit bus architecture. This architecture is also faster than the standard ISA and VESA. Notice that the expansion slots on the computer are different lengths. The different lengths indicate different types of slots. PCs come with multiple expansion slots of different bus types. For example, a system board with 7 expansion slots might have 2 slots which are VESA or PCI, and the remaining 5 which are ISA. The reason for this is that not all devices added to the system require 32-bit or 64-bit buses. When purchasing a PC, ask the manufacturer how many expansion slots there are on the system board. Of these slots, find out what types they are and how many you have of each. Most systems come with either 2 or 3 PCI or VESA slots and a few ISA slots. The more PCI and VESA slots you have, the more room you'll have to upgrade your system with devices that use larger bus architectures. A graphics card is a circuit board that your monitor is attached to. Its purpose is to transfer visual information to the monitor. Graphics cards are installed in the PCI or VESA slots of your system's board. They use this slot because the monitor requires a tremendous amount of data to display images. Thus, these slots offer the widest path for the data to travel, allowing for greater response time on the monitor. A hard drive is a permanent memory storage device for your computer. All operating and application software is located on the hard drive. It is also where you can store work in the form of files that you have created on your application programs. These include documents, spreadsheets, graphics, and financial files you may have created. Earlier in our discussion of RAM, we mentioned that the hard drive is where your computer retrieves an application program that you intend to work with. We also mentioned that any work you have done in your application program needs to be saved, and the hard drive is the ideal place for it. Remember in our earlier example, the hard drive was the filing cabinet where all your information to do your work was retrieved from and replaced to after your task was done. Unlike RAM, a hard drive will continue to store information even after the computer is turned off. So save your work frequently. Only when you choose to delete the information will it be removed. The hard drive is enclosed within a durable casing. Within this casing is a compact magnetic disc called a platter where all the information is stored. When you access information stored on a hard drive, a device called a head is used to read and write the information to and from the disk. How quickly the head can read and write this information is referred to as access speed. The access speed of a hard drive is measured in milliseconds. Most hard drives on a computer system have access speeds of 10 to 13 milliseconds, which should be fine for most applications. Hard drive storage capability is also measured in megabytes. When you buy a computer system, most hard drives come in sizes of 700 megabytes or larger. As far as we're concerned, the bigger the hard drive, the better off you'll be. Today's software is getting larger in size, thus requiring larger storage capacity. If possible, look for a system with a hard drive of 1 gigabyte, that's 1,000 megabytes or greater. A hard drive is like closet space. It fills up fast and you can never have enough. A sound card is a circuit board that is installed into one of the expansion slots on the system board. It is designed to allow your computer to play audio such as sounds, music, and speech. The sound card's end is visible in the back of the case where the speakers can be connected. You'll need to have a sound card in order to use speakers and play audio on your system. The soundboard also comes with the ability to record audio. There are connections available to connect a microphone for audio recording, or you can input audio from a device such as a cassette player, regular CD player, or VCR. Audio information recorded on a computer can be saved on a storage device such as a hard drive to be played back later. Sound cards usually come equipped with software that allows you to edit and add effects to the audio you record. Most sound cards today come with 16-bit stereo capability, and this is adequate for most of your home use. A fax modem is a device that allows a computer to communicate with other computers and have access to a tremendous amount of information available via phone lines. The fax modem is a circuit board that fits into a free slot on your system board. The back of the circuit board can be seen in the back of the case unit and has a slot for plugging in a phone line. Your phone line, which comes from the wall, is connected into the computer. Another phone line can be connected from the computer to the phone. The phone works as it always would, whether the computer is on or off. The most important feature to consider when selecting a fax modem is speed. The faster the speed a modem is capable of, the faster the information is transferred over to phone lines. Thus, the less time you have to wait when you need information. Fax modem speed is measured in bits per second, which is the number of bits per second transferred over the phone lines. Fax modems are available in speeds of 2400, 9600, 14,400, and 28,800 bits per second. 9600 and 14,400 are the most common speeds right now. 28,800 modems are available, but many online services are not able to handle this speed at this time, but they should in the near future. In the case unit, you will see wide, thin cables. These are used to transfer data to and from the system board and hardware devices. Notice the cables are attached to the device on one end and then attached to the system board on the other. These cables have connectors on the ends which plug directly into the devices and the system board. Devices in the case unit also have power connector cables. These are attached to the power supply which is found in the unit, which provides electricity to all hardware components in the unit. Some of the devices described above, such as the CD-ROM drive, fax modem, additional hard drives, tape and disk backup units, can be purchased as either internal or external units. An internal unit is installed within the case of the computer, thus it can't be seen. An external device is attached to the case unit, but sits outside the case of the computer. The decision to purchase either an internal or external device depends on the space available to you and your personal preference. Well, that about wraps it up for hardware. The next topic we're going to talk about is software.
Hi, my name is Robert Lee, and I'm here to give you an overview of software. As mentioned earlier, software is a group of instructions written using a programming language that instructs a computer how to operate. There are many types of programming languages, such as BASIC, COBOL, and C. Remember, we mentioned that there are primarily two different types of software: operating system software and application software. The next section will define and discuss each type in greater detail. Operating system software is what allows the hardware components of your computer to work properly. The operating system manages all the devices on your machine, allocates and manages memory, and handles the organization of your information. You need to have an operating system program in order to run the application programs you will use in your daily tasks. As a computer user, the operating system is not a program you actually work with. You will be doing your work in application programs such as word processing, spreadsheet, graphic, and financial programs. So let's look at some of the more common operating systems you will find on personal computers. One of the first operating systems available for the personal computer was Microsoft's Disk Operating System, referred to as MS-DOS. It has been the most common operating system available for running personal computers and managing your applications. It is a command-oriented system, which means you need to know and type in the proper commands to run applications. Microsoft improved on DOS by creating Windows. Windows is a software application that overlays DOS. Windows is a program that runs in the MS-DOS operating system, which allows the user to perform the lengthy commands of DOS much more easily and with the use of a mouse pointing and clicking on various graphical objects on the screen. When Windows first appears on the screen, you will see what is referred to as the Program Manager. This is like a main menu of the computer. In DOS, you would not have had this. All you would have seen is a blinking cursor waiting for you to type a command. In the Program Manager, each of your applications is represented by a picture or symbol called an icon. By double-clicking your mouse on an icon, you will run the application program associated with that icon. These icons are used to represent the programs on the system. Simply clicking with the mouse is much easier than having to remember a whole dictionary worth of commands. It is also a more visually enjoyable environment to work in. Today, most software applications for PCs are designed to work in the Windows environment. Windows for Workgroups is similar to Windows, but it provides features for networking computers, thus the addition of the term for workgroups. It also includes enhancements that makes it possible to utilize the more powerful computers on the market. Microsoft's most recent operating system is Windows 95. Microsoft released its new version in August of 1995. Overall, it is a more user-friendly program with a new stylish look to it. Earlier versions of Windows were a graphical interface to the MS-DOS operating system. This is no longer true of Windows 95. Microsoft has combined the operating system of MS-DOS and the graphical look of earlier Windows into one operating system, making it much more efficient. We're going to discuss some of the enhancements to Windows 95. Plug and Play is a feature that allows the computer to recognize and configure hardware changes or additions made to the system. Without this feature, a lot of time is needed to adjust both your software and hardware to recognize a new device for it to operate on your computer. With Plug and Play, the computer will do it for you. The other feature is multitasking. Windows 95 provides the ability to engage in more than one task at a time without causing the operating system software to encounter problems. For example, you can copy a file from disk to hard drive while printing a document. This multitasking feature allows your computer to perform several tasks at once. The bottom line is that if a fast and efficient computer is important to you and your work, then Windows 95 is the operating system to get. To get full advantage of Windows 95, you will need a faster computer with additional RAM and up-to-date hardware. You should probably be looking for at least a 486DX 66 MHz with a minimum of 8 MB of RAM. Ideally, a Pentium computer with 16 MB of RAM is better suited for Windows 95. The other type of software is application software. Application software is what you will be actually using to perform your intended tasks. These are programs that run on the operating systems and are designed by software developers to allow you to perform specific functions. Some of the most common application software programs provide you with the following uses: word processing, spreadsheets, presentation and graphics, databases, and communications. Word processing software programs allow the computer to become an advanced typewriter that can create, edit, copy, and move text around to your liking. It allows you to review your work on screen without having to print first. You can easily save your work and make changes to your documents. Most word processing programs available are excellent. Some have advanced features such as column formatting, spell checking, thesaurus, footnotes, graphics. Others are more simple. The most common are Microsoft Word and WordPerfect. Spreadsheets are software programs that allow your computer to enter, manipulate, and store numbers and text to your liking. Spreadsheets are useful for accounting, creating charts and graphs based on the numbers, and creating formulas for advanced calculations. Some of the important features to look for in a spreadsheet are as follows: easily create automatic formulas, graphics, macros, manipulation of text, statistical tools, and linking data from more than one spreadsheet. The most common are Microsoft Excel, Lotus 123, and Quattro Pro. Presentation and graphics programs allow you to create visual presentations for business as well as to draw graphics. Some programs are capable of multimedia presentations which combine the use of audio, video, graphics, and animation. The most common are Lotus Freelance, Microsoft PowerPoint, and Harvard Graphics. Database applications are programs used to maintain and manage large amounts of data on your computer. They are useful for such things as simple as a phone book to complex needs such as mailing lists and maintaining records of all types. The most common are DBase, Microsoft Access, and Borland Paradox. Well, that about wraps it up for software. Keep in mind that when you're shopping for a computer, you have a good idea of what your intended tasks are so that way you can buy the right software for your needs. Now that we have reviewed hardware and software, we will discuss the important steps you need to take to purchase a computer. To buy the right system for your uses, you should go through a thorough evaluation process. By taking the time to go through this process, you are reducing the risk of purchasing a system that does not meet your needs. Knowing what you need means no surprises later on. The steps to take are as follows. Determine your needs and budget. List the specifications you want for your system. Do your research. Evaluate the information. To determine your needs and budget, ask yourself the following questions. First, what will it be used for? Home or office, communications, education for your kids, games, graphics, or whatever. This is a very critical question. If you are using a machine for typical home uses, such as personal finances, writing documents, or communications with popular online services, you will not need to have the fastest, most powerful system available. If you intend to work with graphics, video, audio, multimedia, or programming, these applications will require a system with faster and more powerful components. Second, based on what your uses are, determine what type of software packages you need. One of the key factors many people forget to think about is software. Different types of software can range from $10 to several $100. It is an important consideration when purchasing a machine. Third, do you need the latest technology? Again, this depends on your uses. The newest, most powerful, sophisticated machines with up-to-date software may not fit your needs since it will be very expensive. However, do not go to the other extreme and buy the cheapest computer you can get. Cheap usually means old, and for technologies, this means it is obsolete. The computer you purchase should meet your needs and therefore provide you with many years of use. Fourth, how much can you spend? With technology, prices can range from reasonable to ridiculous. We suggest you set a budget based on your needs and then identify a system that fits both your needs and your budget. Next, list the specifications desired for your system. Compile a list of system specifications based on your needs and budget. Use the information on this tape as well as any other resource available to you, such as books, magazines, and people you know who own or work with computers. Your list of specifications should start with identifying all the major components of the computer, such as the monitor, keyboard, case, hard drive, RAM, system board, etc., and list your ideal characteristics for each. Once this is done, you can now begin your price shopping and system comparisons. The next step is to perform your price shopping, system comparisons, and research. Once you have identified your system requirements, it is time to begin getting prices for the system you want. Where you purchase your computer will also be a factor. You should look at prices from the following computer sellers: mail order companies, computer superstores, and local computer stores. Mail order companies will take your order for a PC over the phone and send to you via UPS or Federal Express. You can find ads from mail order companies in popular computer magazines. These ads will provide you information on system specifications and prices. The positives of dealing with a mail order company are: 1. Besides the system specifications found in their ads, they can create a system according to your specifications. 2. They provide the newest technology at reasonable prices. The negatives are: 1. You can't see what you are purchasing. 2. You need to make sure it is a reputable company. 3. Technical support and replacement parts are usually available only over the phone or via mail. Some popular mail order companies are Gateway 2000, Dell, Micron, and Midwest Micro. Large computer stores are nationwide chains that are essentially superstores for computers. The positives of going to this type of store are: 1. You can see and play with the computer before purchasing. 2. There is a broad selection of brand names. 3. They offer technical support and service in the stores. The negatives are: 1. There is a low flexibility to create a system according to your specifications. 2. In some cases, they are more expensive than mail order. Small computer stores are local retailers and small shops. The positives of dealing with this type of store are: 1. They can build a system to your specifications. 2. You can haggle over prices. 3. There is usually knowledgeable help. 4. Problems can be repaired and quickly returned to you. The negatives are: you need to check the reputation of the store, the quality of parts may be questionable, and the last thing is you may have to haggle over prices. Based on the advantages and disadvantages of the above computer sellers, you will need to decide where you feel most comfortable purchasing your unit. The next step is to evaluate the information. Once you have received some prices, you can now evaluate the systems you are comparing. They will all have some differences, so you will need to decide what is more important to you. Make sure you also account for what is being included with the system as well. One package might be cheaper, but include high-priced software you may have to purchase elsewhere. Another package might be more expensive, but include all the software you need, so you don't have to purchase it separately. The final step is to make the purchase. Once you have made a decision, stick with it. If you have done your homework, you probably have purchased the right unit for yourself. So now, make the purchase and begin to enjoy it. Additional tips to keep in mind: do not buy an impulse. Little research on your part will potentially save you hundreds of dollars, or at least get a better system for the same or slightly more costs. Once you get prices, find out about the components included in the machines. Do they meet your criteria? Make sure you have enough information to make comparisons. If some information is missing, make some calls and get it. If your questions are not being answered by your sales representative, ask for someone else.
Well, that about wraps up the tape. We hope you enjoyed it and found it very informative. Now remember, this is a videotape, so any areas of the tape that you did not completely understand, just rewind and watch again. Take care and enjoy your future computer system.